Be a patriot. Join the Holy Empire.
My holy brothers in Quirk Christ, subscribe to your Patriarch's Patreon page. Pay me money and I can work on Imperial infrastructure for a living instead of working on a corporate plantation. More proof and versus series, more recaps, reactions, and recasts, more content more consistently on a platform which allows us to interact more seamlessly, including but not limited to Patriot-only access content and seasonal level 99 plot armor.
So-called vague power scaling. Frankly, the conversation about convoluted Clorox calcs and power stacking is also rather fuck-hearted and wrong.
Damn.
As any simple interweb search of all Ichigo fights will yield a plethora of cited sources to precisely how many battles Ichigo has taken part in.
Damn.
Furthermore, the fact that we know that Ichigo gets Zenkai boosts leaves only the exact integers or metrics that you choose to place on each one of those Zenkai boosts. Your issue is not with the convolution or how convoluted it is when it comes to power stacking in Bleach. Your issue stems from the fact that you hold a personal bias against that which would be yielded directly from these equations, i.e. the total beatdown of your favorite anime characters.
You're a victim.
Another disingenuous tack that I've often seen taken on by other content creators is that Kubo never had any intention of his characters reaching such monstrous speeds and destructive capabilities. That the same guy who nearly gave up on shonen manga after his first draft was rejected by Shueisha, only to come back because Akira Toriyama himself approached him and gave him the advice that he needed to keep going. That's right, people. As unbelievable as it seems, like a bazillion other mangaka, Kubo was a fan, a stan, and looked up to Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. I'm sure that may come as a surprise to some of you, that somehow the same guy who created Dragon Ball Z with swords, after being given the incentive and push by the creator of Dragon Ball Z without swords, conveniently wasn't thinking about the actual speed of light and such complex equations when he wrote his story. Because apparently the same guy who managed to bamboozle the entire Clorox community twice with the same character is too fucking fucked to consider in-game power cliffing implications of capital G gods from his homeland's predominant theology.
Stupid!
You know, like in the same or a similar manner that possibly hundreds of other mangaka do, let alone the Toriyama implications.
Stupid!
Let alone that somehow these precise same arguments are seemingly non-existent when it comes to other series' main characters.
What?
We stick to these stringent, immutable laws that are entirely based on our own perception and say that because light moves at X speed, it is the reason that a character is able to do this thing, that another character that is also using all of the universal metrics based on light speed somehow doesn't count, because he's not my favorite main character.
See, now that's some bullshit.
You jump through an insane number of hoops to come to the delusion that while the Saiyan race has only been able to birth legendary warriors of power levels of 10,000, keeping in mind that King Vegeta verbatim was said to be the strongest and that no other Saiyan, Namek Saga Vegeta vs. Kui included, has ever grown to the power levels of the Ginyu Force. But somehow, Goku throwing punches with Dragon Ball Anubis is capable of destroying low to high multiversal complexes.
Yeah.
But in that same breath, a human being who is also a Quincy,
no choice. For us to ever get out of here, he must first die. Possible. Brute Vena. I wasn't imagining it.
who is also a hallowed.
Impossible. With his bare hand? It's completely ludicrous. Do it.
Who is also a soul reaper. Who is also a fullbringer. Who is also a Soul King candidate. is entirely incapable of doing the same.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
My position is that in these particular conversations, there's a great deal of charity that is always lent towards Goku, which is generally never lent towards any other characters in the discussion, least of all Ichigo Kurosaki. We blindly accept that Dragon Ball era characters were faster than light because Goku was able to reach and retrieve sunglasses from the audience and then put them on back in the arena in time to block a solar flare technique, which is not an actual solar flare, but rather an energy-based technique or attack that generates pure light or solar energy. Yet and still, some fucking way, some fucking how, when a Acero is fired in Clorox Bleach, an energy-based technique or attack that generates pure light or solar energy, it's not the speed of light or FTL. But I digress. Super Saiyan is a power stack, so is Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, despite there being absolutely zero implications or addresses on the multipliers for Super Saiyan God or Blue. The entire Calc community has headcanon its own narratively appropriate metrics in order to power scale from. And nobody said shit about how Dragon Ball Super power scaling is vague or convoluted.
Damn.
Some source material says Broly surpassed Beerus in power and then contradicts itself.
Damn.
Some source material says that Jiren embodied all of the Z fighters and then contradicts itself.
Damn.
Some source material has Kakarot birth 2 sons and forget how to kiss, while some conveniently forgets Goku has heightened senses and passive durability even in regular Super Saiyan, just to nerf Broku all the way down to Star Trek Blicky levels. And nobody says shit about how Dragon Ball Super power scaling is vague or convoluted, like they all do with Bleach. But I digress.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Roll the clip.
Ultra Instinct Goku did indeed make his debut in the manga and anime versions of Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power. You need to keep in mind that modern Dragon Ball has not one, not two, but 3 separate continuities. The continuity that has the most direct involvement from Akira Toriyama himself, and by the end of this video, you will agree is the continuity where Ultra Instinct Goku is in fact non-canon. Let's clarify modern Dragon Ball's 3 continuities, as things aren't as simple as they were in the good old days where we just had Toriyama's original holy canon and the rest was non-canon blasphemy. Let's take Battle of Gods for instance. Goku vs Beerus wasn't this universe-ending threat, firmly setting them in similar but separate continuities, such as the Universe 6 tournament having Super Saiyan God Goku in the manga and Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku in the anime, the Goku Black arc having Super Saiyan God Vegeta and Super Saiyan Goku Black in the manga. The Tournament of Power, meanwhile, would have Ultra Instinct Omen Goku vs Kefla, while in the manga it was Gohan vs Kefla. In the lens of it being Toriyama's canon, you can see that he doesn't really care about changes the anime and manga made to his original drafts. Take Dragon Ball Super Broly for example. In the anime and manga continuities, they have access to multiple powered up versions of Super Saiyan Blue that can make them dozens of times stronger. So why didn't they use them against Broly? Well, it's simple. To Toriyama, those forms weren't in his original draft for the previous arcs of Dragon Ball Super, so to him, they simply aren't part of his canon.
We know that for a fact that between Ichigo's battling the Minos Grande and his final battle with Rolex Your Watch,
I understood that reference.
that Ichigo has had precisely 46 battles and 46 Zenkai boosts as a result. This of course means the beginning of series base form Ichigo is faster than light, and the end of series Iraza Sando form Ichigo is 70.3 trillion times faster than light, casually.
The math seems to check out.
I'll take the liberty to leave the other calculations on the screen as well. Apropos, even when beginning with the speed of light Minos Ceros, based in series progression mind you, if every one of Ichigo's Zenkai boosts were only a 2 times multiplier, which is fuck-hearted and wrong, the Lanza alone would still be 167.7 trillion times faster than light speed.
Damn.
The blatantly obvious reason we know that Ichigo's Zenkai were not only a 2 times multiplier is because substitute Soul Reaper Ichigod, after being jumped by the entire 11th division, leapt from 3rd or 4th seat all the way to captain tier according to half health bar Jashiro. Not to mention going from beginning of the series base to above Janambo level and then to secret Bankai wielders Hikaku and Renji level without any fatal injuries to boost the multiplier. Then, in just 3 days' time, he skyrocketed to 5 noble families contender. Ichigo's Zenkai boosts were never a 2 times multiplier. Being both sensible and charitable, the most logical outcome would be a 5 times multiplier per battle and a 10 times multiplier per fatal battle injury. But that only applies up until his first battle with Byakuya.
What do you mean by that?
If his power multiplier is 10 times by this point, it simply follows suit that all of his Zenkais are as well, which strangely enough is corroborated by all of his battles with the Espada, many of which necessitate greater magnitudes of Zenkai than simply 10. So the simplest way to explain the Espada power ranking system is to pretend that in base, Aranjero has a power level of 10 and a power level of 100 in his resurrection form. Obviously, Scialopero has a higher base than simply 100, or Adeniro would just spam his Gran Rey Zero in resurrection form to swallow each Espada.
Why are you gay?
Until he was number 1, as with Scialopero, Grimjaw, Noitra, and Baragon. And Aizen would just let it all happen.
What do you mean by that?
This inherently necessitates a widening power gap between each Espada than simply a 10 times multiplier the higher in succession you climb through their ranks. However, for the sake of bearing every future counter-argument mounted, let's just make believe that they're all equal base to resurrection, and that Aizen alone kept them from dipping the fuck out to other dimensions.
What the hell happened here? D-Roy's been killed? Oh well. It looks like I'll just have to kill the both of you.
Splitting one another's heads open, destabilizing the entire top-ranking structure of his empire. Near Lesbo assault of prisoners of war. Or banishing his favorite emo boy to another dimension. Aizen would never in a trillion, billion, million years allow any of that level of lawlessness.
それより一つ報告し損ねていることがあるだろう。彼にエクセキアスを差し向けたのは誰だ？それはどうした？難しい質問だったかな。
Each Espada chronologically is at very least as powerful in base as the Espada rank below them is in release. Apropos, Ichigo beast battles Grimjaw, Noitra, and Ukiyor several times over the course of the Hueco invasion, and regardless of what precise integers you choose to calc it with, those Zenkai gains have to exceed the 10 times multiplier multiple times throughout the arc. This also means that the Getsuga Tensho, especially the Black Getsuga, has to have a 1000 times multiplier in order to crack Ukiyor's sword and place him on the back foot for the first time ever. Add to this the otherwise admittedly shaky Viz translation, and the Getsuga Tensho is a 1000 times multiplier to Ichigo's AP and DC.
What is that light that I saw? Is this the true power of your Zanpakuto, Ichigo Kurosaki?
At last you are able to fire a shot at will, Ichigo. So I shall tell you, the destructive power of an attack is 1,000 times greater when you know its name than when you do not.
The most heinous vague power scaling slander for Clorox Bleach is most likely the Gods and Transformations downplay. FKT Arc Aizen was at least relative in power with Old Man Yama before his first transformation, which was narratively Royal Guard Plus by that point. His second Frieza form far surpasses every non-Ubermensch Quincy in the Bleach verse, and no diff the multi-dimensional governing force of infinite time-space continuums. Literally nothing but the Can He Beat Goku top 20 are even a part of the conversation anymore at this point in Bleach. He gets murdered by Bankai existence erasure.
死ぬもんは死ぬんやけど胸に穴が開いて死ぬんや。
Only to defy and defeat the very last universal concept he was bound to. Death goddamn death itself.
Damn!
All just to turn around and solo leveling Awaken for the 4th fucking time as hollow purple monster Butterfliesen, who is still inferior to Dangai Ichigo before the Mugetsu multiplier. Raining down universal extinction level meteors or creating an entire universe to asphyxiate your opponent with are comparably laughable to this by-the-book poster child definition literal complex multiversal 1C. Damn! The fact that Grimmy is the hill that any of you fucking fuck-carded fuckcards are willing to die on is historically and hysterically hilariously hilarious. Argue with Kubo or your mama.